Sisko shaves his head. Worf battles Skeletor in the Hollow Suite. And we see one of the best scenes in Star Trek history. Which one? Stay tuned to find out. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 1, Way of the Warrior, Part 1. Hang on to your hats, Grandma, because this is it. It is Season 4. Deep Space Nine is about to blow up. This episode is directed by James L. Conway, written by Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf. Man, tell all your friends, this is no joke. Season 4 is here. How you doing, Cirroc?
Yeah, it does start off with a bang. I mean, this is it. I feel like the meat is, we got a lot of the appetizers and all the salads and all
some fried calamari. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we got the calamari, we got the house salad with the croutons, and now we're about to get into the main course. And I feel like they just set a hot plate of food down, and I'm ready to eat. So I'm glad that they got this episode started off with so many guest stars. For one, it was great to have the ensemble kind of working together. And this is kind of the beginning of what we'll see as the extended cast kind of all culminating and working together. So I enjoy the addition of the ensemble of working together.
That totally. This first episode really begins to expand the cast in a very deliberate way. And, obviously I think it's for the better. I think most people do. Before we get too far into it, everybody, please remember, if you'd like to support this show for as little as $1 or £1 or whatever, one denomination, patreon.com/the7th rule. You can find that in the description box below. Also, the freest way to support us is to just subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, give us a like, comment down below, whatever. But let's talk about this. First thing is, they said at the very beginning, there's a little text that says, in memory of Greg Duffy Long and Ronald W. Smith. I don't know who they are. I don't know if you do, but it must have been tough to lose two people over one summer.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Greg Duffy. I think he's one of the crew on our show. I'm not too familiar with him, and like his name doesn't ring a bell. But the Ronald Smith was our barber. He was the barber from the beginning of the show.
Right, you told us about him.
Yeah, he worked with Avery for years. He's an old school guy. He used to work with Duke Ellington years ago. So he's like from the old school Black Hollywood era. And so he was somebody that was a real parenthetical figure to me on the show when Avery wasn't around to be the guy who filled that void. My dad on the show, not just on the show, but kind of father figure outside the show and on the set.
Right.
When he wasn't there doing that, or even when he was there, Ron Smith was like my other protective uncle, kind of watching over me and schooling me on the ropes of, just being around the set and how to behave. So he passed away. They dedicated this episode graciously to him, and Avery did a lot to help Ron in his last days, paying for his hospital and things of that nature that nobody really ever gave him credit for. But I know about, and I'd like to just bring a little attention to, just because it shows that Avery is a man of a lot of character and did a lot to do whatever he could for Ron Smith, who he brought with him, by the way, from a man called Hawk. So Ron Smith worked with him on the Hawk series, and I think he worked with him on Spencer for Hire as well. So this is a person that Avery has, brought with him along the way in whatever projects he works on. So,
hey, Cirroc, jiggle your connection. There's like a little connection issue. I mean, we heard everything you said, but there was just a little. like where it's connected to the phone.
Yeah, I have a wireless device.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
So I'm not sure.
Okay, well,
Yeah, it might be that.
It's good now. Whatever you did is it's fine now. But yeah, you have mentioned Ron Smith before, and you have mentioned, and it's great. People need to know that Avery. I remember what you said last time. You said that Avery made sure that he was comfortable in his last days. I remember using the word comfortable, and that is really important. In the final days and the final weeks. So it's great that people know about this 25 years later. Do you think that is it any wonder that when Ron Smith was gone, that they're like, all right, fuck it, let's just shave his head? That's the first thing. They're just like, all right, forget it. He's like, nobody's touching my head anymore. Just Ron Smith. If it's not Ron Smith, then we're shaving it. That's it.
Yeah, that's that's an interesting observation there. I don't know what the two have as far as correlation, but yeah, this is the first time we get to see Sisko with a bald head and a goatee, and it really does kind of enhance his personality.
Right.
It's just kind of an untangible, but his performance in this episode is remarkably more powerful than usual. And I feel like his character kind of stands out and takes even more charge and control of situations. So it's a real defining element for who Sisko is and becomes.
It's strange that his performance fully changed as soon as he shaved his head. I mean, the lines weren't significantly different, but his persona, his character suddenly became more grounded, suddenly held a little bit more weight, suddenly was a little bit more brooding. Like he was like, that's it. Captain now, shaved head, not screwing around. Like there's just more gravitas to him and his performance all of a sudden.
Yes, and the other thing that's also happening as well is the fact that we are now 4 seasons into the show, 3 seasons on the books. 75 or so episodes already done now, and the level of comfort is there between the cast. The roles are laid out. Everybody knows where they are and where they stand. And so I think across the board, I actually feel a real synergy between the characters. Mm-hmm. For example, I saw more in this episode from Dax. She seemed to have come into her own and looks more refined in her character as Dax. And then obviously with the addition of Worf here, that's going to throw this whole thing into a loop, and we have more to offer with that as well. So I think that this episode, it just gave us a whole lot of things. Also Captain Yates too. Cassidy is officially in the mix now, and it's no longer a developing thing. It's getting towards the serious level.
Right. Yeah. This is a very memorable episode for me. I feel like the first 3 seasons, I watched it once, all the way through 20 years ago or something. So it really felt like this was almost the first time watching this many times when we were going through the first seasons. A lot of times I didn't remember an episode or I didn't remember scenes. So it all felt like new Star Trek to me. And I actually kind of miss that, because the first 3 seasons aren't necessarily as good as the next 4. So in the past, when I would do like a rewatch, I just started this episode right here, season 4, episode 1, and I'd watch all the fun Klingon and Dominion stuff. But after watching these first 3 episodes, I actually miss it. Because it felt like watching new episodes of an old favorite because I didn't remember them. So I'm going to miss being able to watch old school Star Trek with new eyes, But this episode here has so many memorable moments. I mean, Worf arriving, the Klingons, he's heating up, right? That's a NBA Jam. Marv Albert says that's it. Like Klingons are heating up, and and then Cassidy Yates is becoming more of a presence. Like the as you mentioned, the expanding cast, Cassidy is now going to be recurring. Nog features a little bit more prominently as these seasons progress. Lita is slowly coming in. Worf is dropped like an atom bomb in there, and suddenly the 7 or 8 become 10 or 11 or 12.
Yeah, and to add to that, in this one we have Martok, which really was an excellent addition in this
right, and Galron.
episode. Yeah, and Galron, who comes a little bit later in the end. But we also get Garrick, more of Garrick. So we're starting to see just all the characters and how they relate to each other, the past history. I think one of the good things was Worf talking about being the son of Moog. I am Worf, son of Moog, challenging Martok and his son. And so because he had that history, it made sense for him to be in this story. So they brought Worf in at the right moment in which it would seamlessly blend in with what the storyline is, which is, the arrival of the Klingons and the beginning of this Dominion War that is about to pop up. So I think it's timely, and I enjoy that the chemistry that's there. Another thing I want to make note of is the way that Worf was introduced in the beginning. It's like O'Brien sees him first, which makes sense because they have that history together on Next Generation. So I think Worf's first scene is, with O'Brien saying, "Hey, what's up? Welcome back, buddy." And so I liked all of the elements that were played out in this episode.
Yeah, as Sisko says, he says, "Well, Curzon once told me that the best people to deal with Klingons are Klingons," and so that works very well. This episode has, like I said, so many of the most memorable moments. Some of the most memorable lines, like possibly my favorite Worf line, or the one that I think I might quote the most, is when the guy says he's drinking with the old guy, and he's like, "Have I ever told you of the time your father rescued my honor," or whatever it was? And he says, "Yes, many times." And he goes, it is a good story, Worf. But then he goes, my favorite line, he goes, "Yes, and you tell it well." That's such a Klingon. That's like Klingon problem. It's like, you can't let it go. Yes, and you tell the story well.
Right, but please spare me the story all over again.
Right,
I really like that, and you just highlighted something that I really enjoyed in this episode, which is the banter in between each alien race. So I like the Klingons talking to the other Klingons, and the way that they talk to each other. There's this abrasiveness, there's this insulting, constant insults. And it reminds me of how the Cardassians talk to each other, because Garrick was constantly insulting or getting insulted by Dukat. And it was a nice insight on how they deal with each other. It's like they cut right to the chase. There's none of this diplomacy that the Federation has and this political correctness. It's more like, "And why do you disrespect my son's honor?" And his father? What about his father?
That was, again, I really liked the dialogue in this episode. Might have the best dialogue ever. There's just so many good parts, because he says, "Why do you dishonor why do you take away my son's honor?" He says, "One cannot take away something that one does not have," right? And then he says, "Are you saying my son's without honor?" He says, "I'm saying that he's a coward and a liar." And then Martok says, "And what of his father? That remains to be seen." And you're like, "Yes, Worf, yes, stick it to him."
Stick it to him. And that's the kind of blunt conversation that Avery was talking, or Sisko was talking about, when he says only a Klingon could deal with a Klingon.
Right.
And that proved to be true. And that's the kind of conversation they need to have in order to have an understanding with each other. I like that.
Another great moment is when Bashir is talking with Garrick after Garrick was injured, and he's like, "Are you sure you don't want to press charges?" And Garrick was like, "Oh, no. the psychological damage I did to him is much worse than the 7 vertebrae they broke. And then Bashir says something like, "You're an idiot." I'm paraphrasing. And I wrote down the quote. Where is it? He says, "I'm serious. I mean, thanks to you, I'm nearly completely healed. But I got off several cutting remarks, which no doubt did serious damage to their egos."
Yeah, I really enjoyed that line because he really was, relishing the fact that he got in those digs. And
he's like, "I lost the battle, but I won the war."
Yeah, they bruised me up a little bit, but boy, their egos are going to be hurt for the rest of their lives. I like that, and there was a line preceding that I actually wrote down as well, and I wrote down "awesome" here because Garrick, in my opinion, was super awesome in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But he said it. He says, "You'll be surprised the things you can learn when you're doing alterations."
Yeah, which was also foreshadowing to the final or penultimate scene, which I'll go ahead and say it since I already mentioned it. That, to me, is one of the best scenes in Star Trek history. One of the most memorable, that one and the root beer scene with Garrick and Quark. But Sisko says, because they can't tell the Cardassians, they can't warn the Cardassians, so what do? And he says, "Garrick, come, I need a measurement for a new suit right now." And Garrick kind of comes in, he's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yes, right now." And then it was just such a brilliant way to do it. When are they, what's the deal? 100 ships. When are they set to arrive at their target? And then Worf has like this moment where he's like, really doesn't want to say. He's like, but he says, "Okay, the fleet will arrive in Cardassia within the hour." And then Sisko says, "Can you check the waist? I think I may have lost weight." And the best line, Garrick goes, "Thank you, but I think I've got all the information I need." That's like A+ screenwriting. There's nothing better than that, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and I have to add a little bit of the way they set that up. There's the only way I see it. There's 2 options, and that was the thing that was setting this scene up. He said, "The only way I see it, there's only 2 options. Either we do this and this happens, or we do this and that happens." And Sisko very, very coyly and cleverly says, "Well, then we need a 3rd option."
That's all there is to it. Yeah,
because we can't take those 2 options. Those are both bad options, right? We're either way, we're stuck in a war.
Yeah.
So he's finding let's find a 3rd option, which is also indicative of Sisko's leadership skills. Again, weighing out what needs to be done and how to get it done in a way that won't upset the balance of power and destroy everything. And I thought that was a very clever way to come up with it by doing the fitting and leaking the information in that kind of a way. I thought that was just very clever, very good writing on the guy's part, Ira. And it just was a beautifully played episode because there were so many moving parts in this episode. I mean, obviously, the main central theme of this particular episode is Morn, right? So we all know that this episode is the A storyline is Morn having beef with the Klingons, pushing him around and bullying him.
Well, because Morn's a troublemaker, and he's had his dealings with the Klingons. He never shuts up about the Klingons, and
never.
He's also a fan favorite. So yeah, you're right. We're kind of dancing around it, but obviously this is a Morn episode. It's a good point.
It's clearly a Morn episode. He was featured in multiple scenes, and he was talked about extensively. What do you think about what Lieutenant Commander Worf likes to drink?
Man, this is why I cannot wait to get you onto Next Generation, because this was introduced in the Next Generation, and it was by Guinan, Whoopi Goldberg. She comes up to Worf, and he's sitting in 10 forward, and he's all fussy and grumbly. He's always he's a powder. Worf is a powder. He's a closet powder. He's a warrior. He's a Klingon warrior, not a warrior.
He's a warrior.
Yeah. And she's like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Oh, grumble, grumble." And she's like, let me introduce you to something. I think you could use this drink. And he's like, oh, I don't like human drinks. And she's like, just try it. And she gets him this glass, and he takes a sip. And this is one of the other best lines ever by Worf. And he sips, and he goes, and he looks at her and goes, a warrior's drink. After he takes it, and he's like, what is it? And she goes, it's prune juice. Yeah, I think you like. And then so from then on out, he just loves. And then because she's like, he's a little grumpy. Maybe he could use some prune juice. And so now, like forever, he loves prune juice. And that was great that they're bringing that over into Deep Space Nine, and he has that moment with Quark, which is great.
Yeah, I only drink prune juice if I have constipation issues. So maybe Worf is constipated.
I think that's what they were saying. That Klingon needs to cling less and just release.
Let it
go. We are about to take our break, but before we do want to give a shout out to the Sci-Fi Sisters, who last week did an awesome post-con party for us. It was an after party for Virtual Trek Con, and they've added 2 new sisters of the sci-fi variety. That's Yvette Blackmon and Jasmine Keeling, and we want to give them all a shout out and a pip pip hooray, as Cirroc said last week.
Yep, pip pip hooray. That's a good one. Yep.
But they're great. We love the Sci-Fi Sisters, and they just went from 3 to 5. It's party now. It's crazy. It's a huge thing. But we love them.
They're growing, and their influence is growing, and we support them, and we want to see them continue to grow and expand and do well. So congratulations to the new additions to the Sci-Fi Sisters.
Awesome. So Yvette's like, yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row, man. You guys leave me alone. This is too much. Calm down. Take a hold of yourself. But we love Yvette, so we're going to shout her out every week, probably. Get used to it, Yvette. Sorry. Anyway, we'll take a super quick break, and we'll be right back on the 7th Rule. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the 7th Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello.
We are reviewing Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 1, Way of the Warrior. That's it. Like we said, tell your friends, because we all know Deep Space Nine gets crazy starting in Season 4. It's nuts. Real quick, here are some trivioids that may or may not have made the cutting room floor. The Deep Space Nine officers play war games with Odo. Sisko shaves his head. Sisko gets silk from the Tholian ambassador that owes him a favor. Mm-hmm. And to see a real baseball game on Cestus 3, Sisko says 8 weeks might be worth it. Odo learns to give the illusion that he's sharing the dining experience, which is a really cool scene too. Martok tells Kira and Sisko to cut their hands. Ensign Saunders is looking for Morn all over the place again. Garrett gets off several cutting remarks, which no doubt did serious damage to the Klingons' egos. The Batreka Nebula incident was a minor skirmish that lasted 18 years. Cassidy's freighter, the Zosa, is under attack. It's spelled Xosa, Zosa. Worf has been visiting the Klingon monastery on Borath, and Worf battles Skeletor in the holosuite, and the best scene in Star Trek history. Cool. And we're back up to date. There's so much good stuff.
There's so much good stuff. I want to just give a little quick shout out to Cassidy Yates, Captain Yates, when she comes in when she's wearing that blue dress. I think it's a teal kind of dress, and meets Sisko in the quarters.
Looks great, right?
She looks very beautiful. I just wanted to highlight that. And I also like Sisko when he's wearing his civilian clothes. Kinds of adds another layer to just who he is as a person.
Right. We loved it.
We saw a little bit of that vest in the Explorers episode, and he wore it again, except this time with a different undershirt, which I thought I liked his whole outfit. And the Tholian silk and the Pike City Pioneers. I also wanted to give a little shout out to that.
They're having a good year so far.
Yeah, they're beating the Dodgers in the World Series. Those Pike City Pioneers, and but I just thought it was really special that the two of them both came with gifts, and they both came bearing gifts for each other. It just shows that they're thoughtful people, both of them, and that they also really like the other person, right? So it's a small gesture, but it just means a lot to how the relationship is going to be built on something solid, on two people that really are similar in those kinds of ways. They're both leaders, and I like the way the relationship is developing. And I also want to just say really quickly that the Pike City Pioneers, they're on Cestus 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they could also be known as the Sci-Fi Cestus.
Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Oh.
Woo!
Ladies and
you see that
gentlemen.
tie?
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Yep, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's all I got, folks. That's it.
That's okay. That's enough. That is enough. So, Sci-Fi Cestas 3, and now it's the Sci-Fi Cestas 5.
Exactly.
Right?
And I want to ask you, Ryan, I listened to the opening intro in this episode, and I feel as though they changed the music up slightly.
Right. I didn't listen to it really too much today when I watched it, but I remember that when I, did an initial rewatch, it feels like I don't want to say they beefed it up, but they rounded out the sound more. They filled it out more, right?
Yes.
This newer version sounds better. It's got a better production value. It's all around like a better, fuller sound, if I remember correctly. But that first one has this beautiful feeling of it truly feels like what it is. It feels like this outpost that's alone in the vastness of space. But it has this air of integrity. It has this air of regalness. Regality? I don't know the word. Regalness. And it's my favorite theme song of all. And I'm touched by it every time because that's what it truly feels like. That station almost has a voice, and that voice comes out in that lonely horn that's just blowing its integrity, its strength, all alone in the vastness of space. I mean, it really, whoever wrote that really captured, I think, the feeling of that station, and it's just beautiful.
I agree, and I also want to add to that doing all these conventions over the years, when they introduced the DS9 cast at different panels on conventions, they used the original soundtrack, the one that was before this version. That's why when I heard this version, I said to myself, I don't remember really hearing this before.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the version I'm used to. They slowed it out a little bit in the beginning, and then they added some kind of tempo, other kind of sound in it that kind of played out through the background, and it actually took away from the bare essentials, the raw version of that, which is the original version. So I'm not really a big fan of this newer, improved version of this song. It's actually it's putting more where you just need less. And
I think it mirrors. Yeah, I think it mirrors the story of the series, because at first it was about this one lonely outpost in the nothingness of space that's just hanging on to the ideals of the Federation out all by itself. And then what happened? It expanded. They got a ship. The Cardassians are in and out. The Klingons are in and out. The Dominions in and out. Suddenly there is more to this. It's no longer this one lonely outpost. It's kind of like suddenly the hub of all this diplomacy and all these politics and war and all this stuff. So the the song kind of mirrors that, and that it's now more than that. Either way, I mean, I love this song. I love, I think it's great. But yeah, I noticed it today when I watched it, but I didn't listen to it. I noticed it, I was like, it kind of hit me. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This is when they change up the sound. But if it was the first time I'd ever heard it, I can imagine it'd be a little jarring.
Yeah, it just made me think, number one, that they do change up the sound eventually, or they change up the graphics that match the sound, as we saw in Discovery's new introduction this year. So it just lets me know that while they are working on the show and trying to build out plots and storylines and season arcs, they're also working on trying to refine the introduction and the opening credits. I just want to say that's something that they have focused on and they bring attention to. It just means they're not satisfied even with that. And I like the fact that they pay attention to, how they can enhance or amplify or change the opening credits to match whatever their desired effect is. So shout out to the Star Trek producers for attention to detail.
Definitely. That's a good point. I hadn't thought to bring that up. I'm glad you did. Because I was too engrossed in all of the awesome exchanges. Like one is that if you'll notice, they made sure to give Worf a moment with every main character, right? He had his moment with Armin. He had his moment with Odo. Odo gets mad. He gets all huffy. He's like, frankly, I don't care if you do tell him, but just remember, whatever he says. And he had his moment, obviously, with Kira, and then with Dax. And Dax was really cute when she's like, oh, yeah, that's me, whatever she said. She's like, and I don't usually dress like this either. It's like
she did a little curtsy right after she said that, like a little kind of
very
type
cute
of thing. And
that was a very cute
I thought
moment.
It was cute. Another moment that was cute in that exchange was the other actors, for Kira and O'Brien to kind of look and see that there was this chemistry between Worf and Dax. Everybody registered it in that moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like the registering of that moment. Like, oh, this is weird. Like they're hitting it off really amazingly. That was kind of just a nice foreshadow for what would come later. They also did the scene with the batleth scene with Dax to let us know that, even though she's this pretty soft girl, she can kick ass when she wants to.
And even better, she can get her ass kicked willingly.
Right.
She can come in and be like, this guy needs to blow off some steam. I'll let him beat me up a little bit. And that's why as soon as she does it, she goes, feel better? And she's like, help me up,
Yeah.
That's cool. Like really, good moments all around. I mean, there are just so many good character moments, good exchanges.
The other moment I like is you mentioned it earlier in your opening, the blood, the slicing your hand with blood to prove that you're not a changeling. It was subtle, but it was something poignant for me. It was like, hey, we're not going to talk until you. And Sisko like really doesn't even hesitate. He's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's a good, that's a good test to see if we're all on the level here. So I enjoyed that scene. I really enjoyed Martok in this episode as well. J.G. Hertzler was is fantastic as usual, but he was a really good adversary for Worf, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed their scenes together. And really quickly,
real quick, I do want to finish up on that that knife moment, because that's also again, there's so many memorable moments, and in this episode, maybe more than any other episode I've ever seen. And there's that line that he says that I love. It's super great, memorable line. Martok says when one of them says, "What, you think we're not changelings, or you think we're changelings?" And he says, "What I think does not matter. The blood will tell." And it's just perfect. He's like, look, I'm not getting into what I think or don't think. I'm just saying, let's all cut our hands so that we know and we can move on. Brilliant. Great writing.
It was brilliant. And I liked how Sisko didn't even waste any time and just said, all right, give me the knife. I'll cut my hand. Even though they weren't really worried about sharing blood, because
the blood brothers and sisters now.
maybe you want to wipe that knife down a little bit, but all right,
Whatever.
it's my own germs, but germaphobeness. But also, it was kind of cool to see. We saw Odo kind of being more playful with his abilities to change. Usually, he reserves it for very specific occasions. He doesn't use his talent, his abilities that much. We don't see him like just casually, just changing into an owl or a butterfly for any particular reason. But in this one, we got to see him using his ability to kind of test the other crew on how to deal with finding Changeling, which I thought was great.
Right.
And also him using his ability to blend in with people who are eating. And I thought that was another kind of adaptation to who Odo is and how he's really finding his own comfort zone in his skills, his heritage, his alien, his capabilities.
Right. And what's especially cool about that, or poignant about that, is if you'll recall in the two-parter we did recently, I can't remember the names are escaping me. Last month we did the two-parter, and where Garrick and Odo gets ashy and all that stuff. And at the end, they kind of have an understanding, Odo and Garrick. And if you'll recall, Odo says, like, let's do lunch sometime. And Garrick says, well, I do lunches with Bashir or something. He said, how about breakfast, right? This is the first time we are seeing them presumably doing that breakfast. And so I hadn't realized that the other times I watched it. But this time I was like, oh, there it is. That's the first breakfast that we get to see. And you're right. Odo's being a little bit more playful. He's saying, like, I'm not just going to sit here and talk with you. I'm going to try to share the dining experience. That's what he says. This way I can give the illusion that I'm sharing the dining experience. And it's a really cool dynamic between the two of them that's very rare in the 7 seasons, but this was certainly the first one.
Not to mention it's an adaptation, and it's an alien species adapting to these cultural human kind of characteristics just to make other people feel good, also to blend in himself so he doesn't feel alienated or awkward in this experience. So I just think it shows like a real evolution in Odo and where he's trying to go in his own self-identity. I like it. Another thing popped out at me watching this episode that I thought was interesting, and what the correlation I'm going to make is between Worf and Nog.
Good luck.
And the correlation is... Well, the correlation is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is Worf not the first Klingon in the Federation?
Right. And so is Nog, the first Ferengi. Yep.
Right. So in the same way that Worf is changing his traditions of who his people are and venturing into an entirely new identity, Nog is breaking away from the traditions of the Ferengi and trying to pursue that same kind of course of breaking the habit and breaking the normal. So I think that Worf and Nog have a lot in common in that respect.
Definitely. Very much so. You're right. Although their early life is very different. Worf's parents presumably died when he was a toddler, and he was raised by humans, by Russian humans, the Rozhenkos, who are a funny couple. So Worf just kind of does it because, like, that's just, he's like, okay, well, I'm ostracized by the Klingon Empire. He's not originally part of the Klingon Empire. And throughout the Next Generation, you see how he does kind of get tied back into them. But at first he was, persona non grata, basically. And whereas Nog, he's also the first of his kind, but he's doing it almost, well, we've covered it, but almost out of spite, almost like, I mean, he's got his dad here, he's got his uncle here, he's got everything he needs. He's just making the decision, I don't want this. I don't want to be like these people. I want to be like those people. But then after that,
Right.
they're after that, their paths are very similar. That they're the first of their kind, and it's going to be really hard for people to accept them because they're not traditionally viewed as parts of Starfleet. Klingons, because they've off and on between being enemies and allies, and Ferengi because they're kind of a mess. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a good point. But Deep Space Nine really, above the other series, explores the other. You know, you have Odo and Garrick. They're both others talking together. You know, Nog is an other.
Mm-hmm.
Worf, you know, is an other that comes from Next Generation. But there's constantly this exploration of the fish out of water, or, you know, the new person, or the first of their kind.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that works well on the show, because you get to explore something and you feel like you're exploring something for the first time. You're seeing somebody having these. I mean, Worf in this episode is put in a really difficult position because of his allegiance to the Federation, but also, you know, maintaining his family name and integrity, and the allegiance he has with the Klingons, his own identity. So he's put in a position here where he's having to, you know, consider, which is interesting because Odo says to him, I understand the position that you're in because I
Right.
have the founders that I'm dealing with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to make the same kind of decision about where my allegiance stands, you know?
Right. And Worf kind of goes like, I don't need your help, or whatever he does. And the Odo snaps back. He's like, well, I don't care what you do. I'm just saying you better do the right thing. If you don't do it, then I will.
I got my eye on you.
Worf's like, well, whatever. I was going to do it anyway.
I'm head of security. I get to watch you.
Yeah, that was good stuff by Odo there, though, where, you know, he surmised. He said, look, either you've given up on finding out the answer, which is unlikely, or you found something so disturbing that you don't want to tell anybody. So either you do tell somebody, or I will have to pick up your investigation. Great. And it's all great stuff. That all works very well. It's not contrived. It's not that they wrote something in that kind of tries to force his hand and it's a little, you know, forced or contrived. It works perfectly within the characters. It makes sense. A+ there.
Yeah.
I do want to say also very quickly, another one of the most memorable lines, at least for me, is when Gowron requests Worf's presence, and Worf shows up and Gowron goes, Worf! Worf! And he runs up to him, and you're thinking like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? And he says, even though you have made some enemies, I assure you, I am not one of them. And he's shaking him, and we're like, that's our rascally Gowron. All right. Great.
Yeah. And what came across to me also in that scene, which is, you know, it's always a pleasure to see, you know, Bob O'Reilly doing his thing. But what came across to me was how powerful his eyes are. Like, his eyes are so expressive. He's got these large eyes, and they're very expressive, and they actually are really a window to his soul. I really love the way he gives Worf comfort. Like, don't worry, I know you had to do this. You were put in a position. I get it, and you know, we're not going to put a hit out on you. You know?
Another thing I want to make sure to mention, because we're already running low on time, this is just, I'll keep saying it, there are just more good moments and more good lines than almost any other episode ever. Another really, really well-written one and well-performed was when the Defiant rescues Cassidy's freighter, the Zosa. And Sisko says to her, he says, is everyone good? And she picks up that he means, are you good? But he can't say that, right? Because the way she delivers it, she goes, everyone's fine. She, you know, what's the exact line? He says, is everyone good? And she goes, everyone is fine. And I'm like, that's just perfect all around. You know, like The writing is perfect. The directing and acting are perfect. The delivery. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes us love Star Trek, is that brilliance. That's a perfect scene. There's subtext. There's good delivery. It's short. It's sweet. It tells a whole story in 2 lines. Can't beat it.
And to add to that scene, which is, this episode is so rich with there's so many scenes we could literally just dissect scene by scene. That's how many good things are in it. But to add to that, just prior to that, Sisko decides to fire 2 warning shots across the bow, like,
right.
200 meters outside of their starboard ship side of the ship. So he said, give them a warning shot, get their attention. And then the commander of that Klingon ship, hails. And I like the way that Dax said, he's hailing you now, like just like you thought he was going to respond, and here he is. He's responding. So she puts him up on the screen, and Sisko has the interaction with him. And then at some point he says, lock in on their, lock the photons on their warp drive or whatever it was. And then he looks over, and there was a silent moment between them. Sisko's just looking at him like, so you see what I've just ordered? I've just
your move.
Your move. And it's not said. There's nothing said, but just the silence for that pause. I really enjoyed it, because that's when the Klingon commander realizes, all right, let's get out of here. This guy's pissing me. He's not changing his mind. So I love that. It was very subtle. It's really small, but there's so many moments like that. And I think another one that we can talk about is the moment between Garrick and Dukat. The pleasantries they exchanged there.
Right. We can argue all day about how much we hate one another, but you don't have the time.
Yeah, I suggest you prepare for the incoming Klingon instead of worrying about what the hell I'm doing. And I think Dukat said, "Oh, how sad about the Obsidian Order. I guess you'll be hemming women's dresses for the rest of your life."
Oh yeah, that was great. Sorry that I coughed into the mic there.
No, that's all right. But that was another moment where I just like, wow, these guys, even in the worst of times, just have daggers lined up for each other.
You'll be hemming women's dresses for the rest of your life. Sorry. Enjoy that, sucker.
Yeah. I love that. The dialogue, like you said, was really amazing.
Well, we're just about out of time here. Hang on a second. That means...
nitpick of the day.
Oh, we got a tune now. Nitpick of the day, right? How could there be a secret coup on Cardassia and the Federation doesn't know about it? Has there ever been a coup in a country in the United States or in the world where we didn't know about it, let alone 300 years in the future? We would know. The Obsidian Order would know. Central Intelligence, the Federation would know. We have spies in Cardassia. We have Garrick. If there were a coup, look, there's practically a coup going on in this country, and we know about it all day, every day, on mainstream media, on social media. We see it all day long. How are they going to have a coup 400 years in the future, and nobody knows about it? They're going to see riots. They're going to see uprisings. Anyway. So
yeah, that's an interesting point. I think in the defense of that idea, I think the suspicion is that we're dealing with the changelings. That could be anybody and anything and anybody. So I feel like that they have a way better ability to infiltrate without being discovered.
That's what you say.
But yes, I understand the nitpick.
Finally, before we go, we got to run. But now, Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score. This is, I've been waiting for this. This is the exciting part.
Yeah, I'm going to say this was like a 9. This was like a 8.8 to a 9.
Right, you are 9.1. And well-deserved. Well-deserved, I think.
Yeah, well-deserved. I can't wait. Actually, when the episode said to be continued at the end, I was a little bit like, man, that's it? Like, give me
So
more.
good.
Give me more. And I'm the type of person, I don't know about you, but I don't like watching the clips of what's going to happen next.
Totally.
I turn it off. I don't want to know what's going to happen next. It kind of enters into my brain, and I don't want to be spoiled when I watch the episode. So when the episode ended, I was really kind of disappointed, thinking to myself, wow, I want more. I want more. Where's this going to go? Who's next? What's going to happen? Who's going to respond? Who's going to fire the first shot?
Get used to it for the next 100 episodes, dude. That's just how it goes now.
Well, they've loaded up the plate. Like I said, I feel like the main course has arrived. It's hot on the plate, and I'm ready to get into it.
Little mustard sauce on the side, or whatever. Anyway,
but it was good.
We do have to run. We're going to be right back with the free-for-all in just a moment. Special thanks to Carmen Shamwell, PJ Thomas, TJ Jackson-Bey, Yvette Blackmon, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, and Marie Segal, Titus Mohler, Tim Baum, Dr. Mohammed Noor, Dr. Susan B. Gruner, Rex A. Wood.
Yep.
And Bill Victor Arucan. We'll see you on the other side on the free-for-all. Always remember the seventh rule. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the seventh rule. It's the free-for-all with Commander John Tufarella, Dr. Mohammed Noor, Eve England out in Wales, West Virginia, and Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, TJ Jackson-Bey with the whole slew of toys.
Firing, shot fired.
Homer Frizzell out in Manhattan, Dr. Susan V. Gruner out in Gainesville, Florida, and Cirroc Lofton in the wormhole. So before we get started on all the hilarity, Cirroc, you got a nitpick you want to hit about this episode?
No, we hit the nitpick before, but I will say shout out to the Sci-Fi Cestas.
The Sci-Fi Cestas 3 are now the Sci-Fi Cestas 5.
Yeah,
we love that.
Awesome.
Well, Sabrina does have a Niners uniform.
Nice. Let's just check on how they're doing right now.
Is Cestus 3 the Gorn planet? Is that right?
Isn't that where
it's where they play baseball.
Brother?
It's where they play. Where they what are the Bombers? God, I swear
the Pike City Pioneers.
Okay.
I swear, Cirroc.
You know, the last time I heard,
you look like Avery right now, dude. I swear.
What was the Gorn planet? I thought it was one of the.
I think it is like a. Is it Alpha Centauri? But I think you're right. It is like where
they attack
Cestus 3 is.
Federation colony on Cestus 3, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be sad.
I think there's also a Discovery reference where Captain Pike tells Captain Leland, the last time I heard from you, you were up to your neck in alligators on Cestus 3.
Yeah.
Wow, Cestus 3.
Spoiler alert.
Gorn racist.
Popular.
It's a popular place.
So we've just begun season 4, and this is when everything hits the ceiling fan. And we're really excited. Cirroc and I just spent the last hour raving about all the great moments, all the great lines, like when Garrick says he's going to shatter the Klingons' egos, even though his ribs are already fully healed practically.
I got several very cutting remarks.
Yeah.
That's the one.
You have to live with that.
I love that line.
Yeah, lots of great lines. Good stuff between Cassidy and Captain Sisko. Mm-hmm. She says, "Ooh, I like the new do."
Yeah.
You guys have
Sisko
any thoughts on the episode or on season 4? I mean, if anybody saw it recently, I know TJ did. He sees everything.
That's true.
I've seen that episode so many times. I think I had it on repeat play for like a month.
So good. What's up, Rex A. Wood?
There he is.
I am here. How is everybody?
Late to the party, Rex.
I'm sorry.
Well,
you changed.
That's
So Ryan's telling me that this is the beginning of when it gets good. Like this is about to be like. He says that
said
he goes back and starts.
enters a
Ryan.
new stratosphere now at this point. I mean, this episode in particular, it has the most great moments, the most great lines of almost any episode ever. But it's really just great stuff for the next 4 seasons, right, guys? What do you guys think?
I think there was not enough Jake Sisko, to be honest.
That's
Agreed.
always.
So it's kind of season 4 is limping out of the gate, in my opinion.
Hey, Homer,
Well-
not everybody likes a suck up.
They gave,
We
they
do.
gave us one.
JG would have words for you, Homer.
He always has words for everybody.
Oh, he has words.
We did
Yeah.
see JG in this
Apparently he can
episode.
rap.
Yeah, this is the first appearance of Martok, and he's
Martok is here.
fantastic. Yeah.
I'd agree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There was some talk about how Kira and Dax probably wouldn't go to such a lame holodeck program where they pretend to like get hit on by like Lancelot, who's hitting on a married man. However, my headcanon is that they actually meant to go to Camelot the musical, where they get to sing along and have a really, really good time.
Oh.
So that's I fixed that in my mind because I agree they wouldn't want to go like do some lame getting hit on by knights who think they're married crap.
Not even Knights in White Satin?
Oh.
Oh.
Especially not.
Oh. But, oh no, that's Silk. Never mind.
I thought they were going to like a medieval time. What was the name of that medieval times like
Oh, medieval
restaurant?
I think it's
Oh,
Medieval
yeah.
Times.
Going out to dinner.
Yeah, they went to have dinner at medieval
I
times.
like that one too. That's a really good one.
Watch
And,
the jousting.
yeah, I've only been to Schaumburg, Illinois as one.
What in Landon where they have Dragon Con, I think.
Oh, that's fun.
Now, did they say Sir Lancelot or Sir Mix-a-Lot?
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
you've been spending too much time with Brian.
He
Yes,
said
it
better
has.
ones earlier in the episode.
Oh.
Just watch
Late in the
those.
day.
You just wait.
I
You
like
just-
bit
I
hats and
can't
I cannot
wait.
lie.
Yeah.
Sir Mix-a-Lot like got rid of his cell phone, and the person who got his new number has a problem where they're getting like lots of weird text messages. And it was like written up. I think it's in Seattle. It was written up in their newspaper. It's such an amazing article.
Nice.
Yeah, what a problem to have.
Well, that's very interesting.
It is.
Well, let's talk about Deep Space Nine seasons. Do you guys have a favorite Deep Space Nine season?
Well, we're definitely gonna have to repeat then.
You're not talking spices.
Favorite season?
They're all so good.
Yeah,
That's
they
rare.
are.
Homer enters with the
that's
pun.
right now.
Sorry.
It was great.
Let's
As
start
far
with
as
let's start with Rex. No. This is an original series, so Rex needs a mome. TJ Jackson-Bey has a favorite Deep Space Nine season. He already knows it.
well, seasonings go, I got from St. Louis Wing Company an amazing Louisiana dry rub.
Oh,
wait,
right.
we're talking about
Cool.
DS9 seasoning. So I also went down to New Orleans to Sisko's to get some seasoning, and it is like the fire bomb Creole
Yeah.
seasoning. I put
Could
it
you-
on everything.
Could you put that? Could you put that in the chat?
Yes.
Now I want Creole food.
Yeah. Hey,
Melissa.
Melissa.
Hi,
Hey, Melissa.
Yeah.
Melissa's here
Oh,
to
Melissa
bail me out.
now.
As far as seasons
Melissa-
go on Deep Space Nine,
The
Go
question
ahead.
we just asked was, what is your favorite Deep Space Nine season? See, Muhammad, I snuck in another.
There you go. It's good.
And TJ is our first question answerer. Go ahead.
as far as seasons go on Deep Space Nine, it's hard for me to pick a favorite. I definitely, favor the later season. There were so many great episodes. I like a couple of the ones with the big station battles, but also there's so much great content in Deep Space Nine. It's really hard to pick a favorite season out of all of that.
Hmm.
This is great. That means there's no wrong answer for the rest of us.
Yeah, not at all.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yours.
Do we all have to pick of a season and a season 2?
Exactly.
What
I
about
will not
you,
be
Homer?
confined.
So I think it's Creole.
Wrong
And-
answer. Oh.
Oh. I like to be in the moment. So right now it's season 4. That's what I like.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a nice
sweet.
way to live.
Be present. I meditate daily.
Very zen. Commander John Tufarella out in Candor, New York. Do you have a favorite Deep Space Nine season?
Probably the last one. It's kind of bittersweet because it's the last one.
Shots
But-
fired at Terry
What-
Farrell.
And JG, apparently.
I do like the space station battles that were in this episode for sure. I do like the big Armada fights that kick off towards the end of it. And then some of the best scenes are when everybody's saying goodbye to each other at Vix.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that. You know,
Yeah.
it drives home
Interesting.
everything that DS9 was, meaning-wise, you know, right to the heart.
Straight in the chest.
Rex A. Wood, do you have a favorite Deep Space Nine season?
I'm going to have to agree with John that the last season, because I think that's where Aaron really had
Yes.
a lot of his episodes that were really knockout episodes for him. Just the excellent acting that he did, and you know, my favorite episodes fall within those. And so I really would have to be with John, you know, on this one is the last season. I think everything coming together at the end, just an excellent season right there.
Malissa, how vehemently do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree.
And how are you, by the way? It's good to see you.
I'm busy.
Good. Busy with walking art made by Melissa.com,
Hey,
which will be in the
bracelet?
description box below. Oh, check out this bracelet. Here it comes.
Center square.
Yes. Can I be Alice?
Go ask Alice.
Oh, because she's 10 feet tall.
Well, I mean, you know, you find Alice in chains a lot.
And Alice
Oh,
by
wow.
Anne
Oh.
Marie Segal.
Wow.
Alice
Wow.
Cooper
Alice's real
joke.
name is Anne B.
Yeah.
Davis.
Do you have a butcher as a boyfriend?
Mm.
We'd have to have a butcher as a boyfriend to be.
Oh, you're right. Sam. No,
Sam, the
I don't.
butcher.
Sam the Butcher is Alice's boyfriend in Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who used to win Nick at Night trivia when AOL was invented every
Yeah.
week and they'd send her stuff.
I blame myself.
Coolest 13-year-old ever.
Sorry, Melissa. So what is your favorite Deep Space Nine season?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Try Klingon.
Huh?
In Klingon?
In Klingon or in English or in British or in yeah. I love season 7. There's many things I love about season 6. And many things I love about season 5. And yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite season because there's many. I don't know.
Or you can say, you know, storyline, you know, plot line, like the Dominion Wars or Klingon stuff, you know, because I know it's a tough question.
Well, yeah, but all of that ties in together. Because I think in season 6 they have that one episode that I love where Kira becomes a prophet and Jake becomes a Power Wraith.
Ah, yes.
I love that episode. And I think his way is in that
Yes.
as well. So
You stole my season.
yeah. So yeah, I love that. I'm gonna go with 6. Ben.
All right. Good one. Very good. Susan V. Gruner, you're on the hot seat. If you don't have a favorite season, you can give us a general favorite plot line or story or spaceship. Oh.
I love the whole series, but actually my favorite season, if I have to pick one, is season
Nice.
1. I think that's where the character development started, literally from the first. Wasn't film? Was it? I guess it was film back then. There's no video recording or no digital. But literally, it grabbed me in the first 5 minutes, and maybe it's a guy thing. I don't like us fighting the between spaceships and all of that, that doesn't turn me on. It's the character interaction that I appreciate the most. I thought season 7 was, all the seasons are great. It was a little dark, but I actually liked that. I thought they handled it, just the whole thing was just done so well. But yeah, I'm going to say season 1.
Awesome. Great answer. Dr. Mohammed Noor, do spaceship battles turn you on?
Spaceship battles.
I think it's a guy thing. I don't know.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Kinda, yeah.
Right.
No, you're kinda right.
We like action movies and not so much romantic comedy movies as much. Right?
I do like some romantic comedies.
But we love rom-coms.
Some are okay.
If I had to pick one season, I was on the fence, but I think I solidified it that I agree with Malissa. I think it would be 6. There were so many really great episodes. I mean, all of them had great episodes. Every season had great episodes. But in the Pale Blue Moonlight's in season 6, where the Cardassians retake the station was in season 6. So it was like there was a lot of big things happening there. And when I got my son to watch Deep Space Nine, we actually started there because I thought it might be a little bit too much of a slow burn to start at the very beginning for at the time a 12-year-old boy. So. But he loved it, and then we went back and watched, and now we're still watching the whole thing. So,
wow, great parenting.
Thank you.
Eve England out in Wales. Do you have a favorite season?
I think, like everyone said, it's really difficult to choose an actual just one, because I think the whole thing is obviously just one epic TV show. But I think season 4 probably for me was the one where you sort of, it really just gripped me from that point, and you just think this is where it really does. It tells the whole world that it's now doing something different to anything else that's done before. So you've got, I think it because for me it's a 90-minute just one-off. On Netflix it didn't sort of split it, so it's kind of like a TV movie.
Oh.
You have everything going on. You have all the action. You have and the fact that actually you've got this sort of really dark bit and the insidious element coming into everything. So to me, this sort of sets the tone for the rest of the show. So I think for whilst there's other seasons I think have some amazing episodes and probably maybe standalone up might be better, but I think for me this is almost the most important, especially the start of it, because it sets the scene for everything else and really does change it into the show that we absolutely love by the end of it, and really starting that serialization, full on for the rest of the show, really.
Mm-hmm. That's why this is such a huge episode. It just launches the show. Well, we've delayed it long enough. Dr. Marie Segal, do you have a favorite season?
6, because I watch His Way like multiple times every month. I love it.
Oh.
I love Vic, and I love You're Cordially Invited and Magnificent Ferengi. It has like all my favorite characters. Except I guess the Muse isn't in that one, but all amazing. All the seasons are so good anyway. The Muse has Loxana. It's a really good Loxana episode, and I love her.
Yeah, they said, I heard them say before that they were planning on using Loxana a lot more when the series started. Like she was going to be kind of a recurring character, but it just never really happened. I don't know if you guys had used Anne-Marie. It seems like you've heard that before.
I don't remember why, but she She was supposed. It was supposed to be like a similar thing to TNG, where she was on at least once a season.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really sure like why not, because it's not like she wasn't in every episode as the computer for like all the series. So yeah, I don't know.
Now here's the most exciting part. The reason I want to
Ryan
ask
T. Husk, what's your favorite season?
Well, first I want to hear what Cirroc's favorite is so far, because we've done 3, and I'm just like giddy with excitement. I got to know, Cirroc, out of the 3 that we've done so far, is one of them better than the others?
Better. Yeah, it's hard to say that better. I think for me, it's just more of an emotional attachment to the first season, because it was the beginning of everything, and I was, getting to know everybody and building these bonds. So it has that special place of like, this is the beginning of the journey for me. But there's so many good episodes spaced out in between there. It's hard to pinpoint it to a season. I just like the way it's all progressing. So but for me, just emotionally sitting in doing the pilot episode, and just something that it's burned in my memories.
Oh,
I know.
It's very moving.
Little Cirroc fishing on the holodeck.
Yes.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah, walking barefoot down the thing. Yeah. Barefooted with overalls. But yeah, that was that's gonna be special for me. But I'd like to answer this question after I've watched the whole thing and be able to kind of look back and see, where do I feel like the interest peaked for me? Where do I feel like I was mostly engaged? But certainly this season 4 is starting off as good as it gets. Yeah. And that's because we're getting so many of the cast. We talked about this in our discussion, but I enjoy the ensemble of the cast. I think that's one of the things that makes DS9 so good, is the extended family, not just the regular characters, but the reoccurring characters. And the Andrew Robinsons and the JGs and the Bob O'Reillys, and I just feel like that's what makes it so much better, because it's not just the Odos and the Siskos and everybody, but it's the extended family, and it's how they interact with each other, and I think that's what makes it even better. So having them up to this point, they were introduced kind of separately. Garrick would have his own little episode here, and then one episode with Ducat maybe, but now we're seeing them all talking and interacting, and it's becoming like a community in a real big way. So I'm liking the way I'm seeing this season 4 start out.
That's such a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Like,
well said.
them without just their one episode. That's awesome.
Right.
So good.
Cirroc, when you watch episodes, are you able to separate that you were acting in them the way that, and I don't know how to say this exactly, but are you able to look at them from the point of view of a television viewer that's not on set and all that? We see you as a kid on a space station. You're actually there with lights and cameras and all that kind of stuff. So are you able to separate the two different?
Oh yeah, no, I'm lost in the world. As soon as I press play on that video, I'm on the station watching as an observer, as the third wall is removed.
That's great.
And the other thing is, I get to see everybody as their characters. So I from my experience, it's them personally. So I remember my interaction with Michael Dorn, for example, in the trailers and in the makeup room and off, at the craft service table. I don't have any real perspective of seeing him as Worf, because I see him as Michael Dorn. But now as I'm watching these shows and I'm seeing things, I'm beginning to see Renee as Odo, as opposed to Renee as just Renee. And so that's the beauty of watching these episodes. I'm actually seeing their characters and getting lost in the character itself, and it's giving me way more depth of understanding who what they did, and how it all worked together. So I'm enjoying it.
So what I'm most excited for is the day where you can't wait till the next week to watch an episode, but you have to like press
that just
play
happened,
right after.
right, Cirroc?
It just happened actually. When it ended with a to be continued, I was like, oh man.
I've been like waiting with bated breath for this moment.
Yeah, I was a little upset. I was like, wait a second, I gotta see.
You're officially a fan now.
Yep, that's
it. It's getting there. It's getting there. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing it. I was telling Ryan, I don't like to watch the clips of what's about to happen next week. I don't do it with Discovery. I don't do it with any of the shows. I don't want to see the little 30-second or 1 minute commercial for what's about to happen next, because it kind of spoils it for me. So when this ended with a to be continued, I was like, oh man, I want to know, but I don't want to know. I can't wait for the next episode.
That's it. He's converted now. Yep. He's no longer like a casual observer enjoying the show and reminiscing. He's like, I gotta know what happens next.
He's in Michael Dorn's photo op line at the next STL.
Right? I mean, it's really good. I mean, the
you should do that.
I should stand in. I've stood in lines before. I've stood in lines, and I mean that's the beauty of it is once again I see Michael Dorn as Michael Dorn. Now I'm getting to really get a appreciation for him as Worf and obviously Armin as Quark and all of these characters. I'm seeing them now as their character. It's such a special thing. It's really refreshing, and it gives so much different context to what my understanding is.
Boy, what lines have you stood in the past?
Well, I don't really do much standing in line. I'll kind of sneak up behind them on the table somewhere,
I thought you were going to say Chuck Norris.
No, but I've gotten a few autographs though. I have asked for some autographs on different things. I think the most nervous I was about asking for an autograph was Patrick Stewart's autograph.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to say to him, can you sign it Sir Patrick Stewart? Because he only signs Patrick Stewart. But then I'm thinking, don't press your luck. Just get the signature and get out of here. So, but yeah, it's been a lot. It's been fun.
Did you get an in-show discount?
Yeah, well, he actually signed it in the green room back.
Oh, nice.
It was that piece of artwork that I made in honor of his character. So he signed that. Avery signed one I made for him. Yeah. The only bad thing was while I was getting Patrick Stewart to sign that piece of art, William Shatner was there. And he was watching. He was watching the whole thing play out, and he said, "Well, where's mine?" And
and you're like, "I don't know who you are."
Yeah,
are you TJ Hooker?
No, I felt like I felt bad because I did the Avery one, then I said, "All right, who do I do next?" I said, "Let me go backwards and do Patrick Stewart next," and I did the Patrick Stewart, and Shatner was going to be the next person I do, but I hadn't gotten to it yet. But when he saw mine, he saw the Patrick Stewart one. He asked, "Where's mine? How come you didn't do me?" And I said, "No, I'm doing you next. I'll do you next." And the conversation came up of like what flag that would be in the background. And obviously the Canadian flag would be the flag that I would use in the backdrop because that was the purpose of the artwork, to highlight where each person came from. So, the Sisko one has the American flag backdrop, and the Picard one has the British flag, the Union Jack as the backdrop. And I was going to do one with Shatner as Kirk with the Canadian flag on the backdrop. Still haven't done it yet. I want to do my own portrait with the Ethiopian flag on the backdrop. So I got more work to do.
Nice. I'll deliver Shatner's.
Yeah, he'll hate it when he sees Kate Mulgrew next, and he still doesn't have one.
Does anybody have a Shatner impression? There we go.
You do.
Wait, hang on a second. Do that again, TJ.
That was awesome, TJ.
Oh my god, a swarm of Klingons.
Melissa, do you have a Shatner impression?
No, I don't pay that much attention to Shatner, so
Whoops.
More for me.
We're just hurting his
Edit.
feelings throughout this whole episode.
Edit.
nothing personal. It's not because I dislike anyone. He hasn't really been on my radar, so.
I understand.
He's usually
guy.
in and out. Yeah, he's usually in and out. I mean, even at the conventions, he's like he drops in, he hits really hard, and then sometimes he's gone that same day, and so you don't even really get the chance to spend the usual chit chat time in the back in the green rooms and stuff like that with Shatner. He's usually in and out. Sometimes doing 2 or 3 conventions in the same weekend. So he's flying all over the place and trying to manage that. So I understand that his schedule is a little bit different than.
Well, that's why you get him on a cruise ship where he can't go anywhere.
If you can try that, if you can get him.
He was only there for half the cruise.
Star Trek cruise, yeah.
He didn't stay the whole time. He got on halfway through.
No, he got off, but in between stops, there's none of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, really? So he did do a cruise, but he wasn't on the cruise the whole time.
Yeah. Now he did the whole first cruise, the inaugural Star Trek the cruise. He was the headline guy, and he was there the whole time.
Yeah, he and Kate Mulgrew split the cabin. I think one had it the first half and the other had the second half.
She's like,
you better wash it real good.
Oh, you're getting good.
She was first, so.
We're going to have to go in just a couple minutes, guys. But before we go, let's show off a few shirts. We got a few shirts to show off. I gave everybody a preview of your shirt, Eve, but check this one out.
That one.
It's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's new.
Is that a sweatshirt?
Beautiful.
It's really
gorgeous.
Nice.
Amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Lipstick sold separately. Oh, and the mug.
With the 9 bars for Deep Space Nine.
Oh, with the oh yes, I love the colors too on that one.
Actually, let me pin that again.
Yeah.
There we go. Beautiful.
Nice.
And that is all from Abyssinian Kiosk. Cirroc's sister does that. We've got the website in the description box below. Next, check out Rex. I feel like it's like a catwalk. Next, we've got Rex, Sexy T-Rexy, modeling. Check out his new uniform.
Well, it's not new, but I've worn it before. It's the Picard.
Yeah, it's beautiful. New Picard
nice.
stuff. Yeah.
I really do like this one. It's actually one of the most comfortable ones. And there, you can just kind of throw it on. There's not zippers and snaps and anything like that. So I actually kind of like it a lot. It's really comfortable.
Nice.
Compared to some of the other ones.
Exquisite.
Nice.
No back zip or front zip.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and Sue's got her Starfleet dress, right?
Yes.
Oh,
You
yeah,
wanna
I
see
want to
it?
see this again.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That is
Oh,
so
yeah.
cute.
Ta-da!
So, a walk on the
Love
promenade.
it. Love
Amazing.
it. Love
Really
it.
adorable.
Ready for a walk on the promenade.
Oh my gosh, look at the bottom.
Oh, it says
That's
NC 1701.
Yeah, that's what I was
D.
saying earlier. I love that part of
Beautiful.
it.
That's
Green screen,
weird.
the green screen. Yeah, the back is cute.
That's so cute.
Adorable.
She got the Defiant behind her and the NC
Yep.
1701D on her dress.
Yes.
Perfect. That's all the. Oh wait, Anne Marie, do you have something?
Oh
You
my gosh. I
usually
had to
do.
look down and be like, am I wearing the right shirt? So I changed for a little while. Okay, yeah. This is from the Teespring store. Oboe. This one's springy eyes. Cool because it says 7th Rule in purple on the back.
Nice.
Flashy
Ferengi
women.
eyes are watching you.
I thought John
Only.
Tufarella's sweatshirt is also.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. What is that, John? What do you got?
Oh, is that the Serena?
La
It's
Serena.
Rios' ship.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Hey,
That is
La
really
Serena.
cool.
All right.
Awesome.
Hey, La Serena. Okay.
Amazing.
All right.
I'm ready for that
Alright.
song.
I think that's everybody, right?
Well, not you. You, Ryan. You've got your Cobra Kai shirt on.
Oh, that's not Star Trek related though. But yeah, shout out to Paul Hickman. Paul Hickman hooking this up. Also executive producer and writer of The Assassin's Apprentice, starring Armin Shimmerman, Tracy Coco, Bob Picardo, Sean Kinney, and
a partridge in a pear tree.
Oh, Marina Sirtis. Marina Sirtis, of course. Obviously. Of course.
All right.
Paul Hickman's a good friend of ours. Great dude.
And walking art made by Malissa. That's my bracelet.
Yes.
Which I love. My Deep Space Nine binary code bracelet, which I wear all the time.
Awesome.
Very nice.
She should, Malissa, you should make a bracelet with non-binary code. Like a rainbow one that says non-binary code.
Oh, non-binary code. Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but
it's clever.
Good one, Ryan. You're a funny guy.
They're non-binary code bracelets, just not,
And you can spell it NHAN.
Uh-huh.
For the Discovery fans.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we should have ended about a minute ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, what was your favorite season? You're trying to slip by that.
Oh yeah. It's because I don't have one. All right. So everybody, thank you all for joining. Okay.
Nicely done, TJ.
I really liked season 3. It was a pleasant surprise because the first 3 seasons kind of felt like a lot of them, I felt like I hadn't seen the episodes before because it was so long ago that there were episodes and there were moments and there were scenes that I didn't really remember. So it was really great to kind of watch these for the first time, the first 3 seasons. The next 4, I definitely remember them all. That's sometimes you start the rewatch at season 4. Season 3 was great. I think that season 6 is probably my favorite when it's all said and done because of all the great Dominion Wars stuff, and especially when the 6 are left on Deep Space Nine, which is then goes back to Terok Nor, and the Defiant is off, and then that 6 comes together, including Mr. Jake Sisko, and that's just such a powerfully memorable, story arc that I really liked and really made me appreciate Deep Space Nine way back in the day.
Was Kira's hair poofier in this episode in the beginning of season 4?
Yeah, because she melded with Curzon.
No. Yeah, but she does have the Curzon Odo poof hair thing.
Yeah. She saw that and used it as inspiration.
Yeah, she wanted to be Kurdo. Anyway, yes. So thank you all for joining us, everybody. Everybody at home, please, be nice to each other and give this video a like or subscribe, and tell us your favorite season in the description box below. And bonus points if you can name the person here that named your favorite season. Be like, I agree with TJ Jackson-Bey.
Is that Anne Marie's voice again?
No. I'll never record my impression of Anne Marie.
That's not allowed.
Okay, just check.
Good.
Anyway, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Tell your friends it's about to get crazy. Always remember the 7th rule.